Yeah, let's finally talk about this interview here since it's been a few days. I haven't actually looked at it in full. I've kind of glanced over it. Yeah, this is an interview done by Operation Rainfall, which is just some news site. And they did it with Yuya Kimura from Phantasy Star, which is this is the series producer, I believe. Yeah, series producer Yuya Kimura. By Quentin H. Ooh, interesting name. Uh, Let's see here. I think this is all just kind of like backgrounds on like what's happening. So yeah, personalized spaces, new outfits, cel shading, blah 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 blah. Thanks for the follow, Kushi. Yeah, this is just kind of like background on like the version 2 update and talking a little bit about the series producer. But they had a whole bunch of questions, and this was done through email. This was an email interview, so they were not in person, and because it was an email, that probably took a lot of time. No, thinking about their answers, maybe it went through PR. I don't know if it was actually Yuya or not. A whole bunch of different things. Now let's see what they said here. The first question is, could you please introduce yourself? So Yuya says here, my name is Yuya Kimura. This year marks my 21st year working at Sen. That's a long time, actually. I've been involved with the Phantasy Star series ever since joining the company. I planned and launched PSO2 and served as its director until the service began. Afterwards, I oversaw the development and operation of PSO2 as the series director for around 9 years, and I'm currently the series producer for PSO2 New Genesis. So they were the director for base game for a long time. But that means they did not work on the original Phantasy Star Online, right? Because Phantasy Star Online came out in like early 2000s and late 90s. Yeah, so they didn't work on that one, but they worked on everything else Phantasy Star related after that point. I mean, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So they've done like a lot of good things over the time, and I don't know how much of an impact they had with different things, like with PSU or the portable, because those came out during him working there. It seems like he had more of an impact with base game since he directed it. Let's see, do you play Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis in your spare time? If so, can you tell us a little bit about your gameplay experience? What do you like to play or do for fun outside of PSO2 New Genesis? And this is a question that people are hopping on here. But Yuya says here, I would rather keep the focus on the team and the game instead of my own personal play style. I feel like this is a fair answer for him to say, because no matter what he would have said, people would have ripped him apart. I feel like this is the safe answer. Because let's say it was the worst of the two, that he didn't play Phantasy Star, 2 like at all. Like, he didn't play New Genesis like at all in his spare time. People would be like, oh, of course, that's why everything sucks. But then if he said, that he played it a lot in his spare time, and, whatever gameplay experience, then people would be questioning, okay, so then why doesn't he understand why we're upset? Why doesn't he, know about the problems if he's playing the game? So basically, if he answered it either way, he would have been screwed. So that's why he said this, focus on the team and, like, what they're doing with the game rather than just myself. Because people always bring up the question of, do the devs actually play the game? Are they actually playing the game? Yeah, it's just a lose-lose situation question, yep. Let's see. Moving on, though. So, you were the quest director and one of the scenario writers for Phantasy Star Universe. Oh, he was. Okay, so he was connected with that. And it's an expansion, Phantasy Star Universe Ambition of the Luminous, that was released between 2006 and 2007, and for which online services ended in 2012. The main protag, Ethan Weber, or Weber, I think it's Weber is what it's called, a guardian named Karen Era, the PSU theme song Save This World, and that's a good song. And other callbacks appeared for a limited time in Phantasy Star Online 2 in 2016 for PSU's 10th anniversary. What was it like revisiting these characters in Phantasy Star Universe's music as a series producer for the 10th anniversary event when you had originally helped to shape PSU and these character stories back in 2016? That means it's a weeb. Yeah, he was a big weeb. Ethan Weber. Let's see. As I joined the Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2 team during its operational phase, Phantasy Star Universe is the first title in the Phantasy Star series that I was able to join in the initial development phases before the services began. It sounds like PSU was where he actually got a hand mainly in the Phantasy Star series. And it sounds like he was more like a intern in the early years of like 2002, 2003, kind of just like as a team member. But let's see. This makes it one of the more memorable games in the series for me. I want to implement content from PSU and PSO2 as a collaboration with myself, as I was serving as a series director at the time. I was in charge of designing which characters and content would be implemented, as well as creating NPC characters such as Ethan and Karen. Oh, that's pretty good. I mean, I heard that they were good characters. I didn't play PSU, like the story stuff myself, so I wouldn't exactly know. But from what I heard, Phantasy Star Universe was pretty huge, and like those characters were good. Over time, graphics have evolved greatly since PSU, so I was really happy to have Ethan and Karen appear on game screens once more. And I was deeply moved by reactions for players who enjoyed the nostalgic feeling of that time. So it sounds like he had like a pretty big hand in all of that. I don't know. I don't know. Do you guys think that they would do more of that stuff for like New Genesis? Because I don't think they've done anything yet. Like they definitely haven't brought any NPCs like they did in base game. Because they actually had Ethan and Karen there, where you could do like quests with them. Oh, they were talking about recently that in the future, or at least with future collabs, maybe even with the other games of the Phantasy Star series, that they would have quests implemented with the collabs instead of them just being scratches. Maybe that it's just the start of like with the Sonic collab, because the LTQ with that collaboration. But I hope they do make that a more common thing. And I don't know, kind of improve upon it along the way instead of it just being scratches. Because I think the Ghost in the Shell one is just scratches, right? Yeah, it would be nice to see like some stuff come back, like from other games or even like base game, even, you know, like seeing Matoy or Kuna or something. Yeah, give us another concert, please, with like Kuna. There we go. We'll have one concert with Nadara. It'd be great to see more in that direction, because like all the other concerts have been limited time, and they just went away. They were done with like with Nija Sanji or whatever else. But yeah, let's move on to the next one though. I mentioned this is just part of another question, so I'm not going to read that yet. One of the unique aspects of Phantasy Star Online 2 and Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis is that the game frequently had crossover events with various intellectual properties that are owned by Sega, such as Persona and Project Diva, and non-Sega titles such as The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Phantasy Star, or not, God, Final Fantasy 14. I said Phantasy Star. I'm too used to the fantasy. Oh god, okay, Final Fantasy 14 Online. There we go. Yeah, with like the Odin and stuff. Can you talk about how Sega and non-Sega collaboration events are developed to keep these events true to their original franchise roots while integrating them into the Phantasy Star Online 2, subsequently in Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis? How do you go about deciding which IPs to include within the game, and how involved are the IP owners / developers in co-developing or signing off on the crossover content? That's a big question there. Let's see what they have to say. In deciding which IP to collaborate with, we consider IP that have a high affinity with the PSO2 series and its players. Most of the time, we will propose a project to the IP that we wish to collaborate with. For mutual collaborations, we sometimes get the offer from the other party, and then we launch the project. Okay, so sometimes I get it from other people. Once we've decided to move forward with the collaboration, we create a detailed plan for the content to be distributed and supervise it. We have also created the created content supervised in detail before it's distributed, including the detailed text level and the content of the announcements beforehand. Yeah, so it sounds like they are very careful with what they do with the other people's IPs, because they pretty much have to, because contracts and like other issues, legal stuff. So yeah, I guess like the more layers that they add on top of it, like it becomes more difficult. There's more red tape that goes with it, or yellow tape, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of rules and regulations that they go through, so they add more events, such as like what they did with Final Fantasy 14 Online. I almost call it Phantasy Star again. Like with the Odin, what was that just like a quest I never experienced it because I think it was in JP only. Same with this Breath of the Wild one. That was JP only, where they had like outfits and stuff. I don't know if it had a quest, but I imagine like there's more length with those kind of things than with their own IPs like Project Diva and Persona. That's probably why we're seeing like the Sonic one a lot, is because it's just like easy for them to do. But the Ghost in the Shell is probably like a little bit more work, and that's why it doesn't have a quest with it. Well, I would like to see more in the future, but I don't think he really said here. And it's kind of like the process. Let's see. Phantasy Star Online 2 was originally released in Japan back in July 2012, and a Western release was only announced at Microsoft E3 2019 press conference. Talk about the lengthy delay in bringing Phantasy Star Online 2 to the Western audiences, and what the internal decision process was like that led to the ultimate decision to bring that game over. Did you ever consider not releasing the game for Western audiences? Actually, for a time, we had considered expanding to the North American and European regions immediately after the release of the Japanese version, but at the time, we were unable to establish an operation systems outside of Japan. And after the Japanese version was released, we found that the development operation was far more difficult than we'd imagined. So we ended up putting it on hold. Afterwards, we established a cooperative system with management companies in each Asian region and launched the service in 2014, but we were still out of our depth, so unfortunately the service ended after about 3 years. I think they're talking about the C one, right? Because they had a C version, Southeast Asia, with Phantasy Star Online 2, that was like quite different from the JP one. I think like the cosmetics actually had stats to them, if I recall. And it was just like a whole problem with like pay to win, and they kept changing things that like made it worse off. But let's see, development of the overseas version stagnated once again after the Asian service ended. But when it was decided that development of NGS would move forward and that the service would be offered simultaneously in both Japan as well as globally, we decided to launch PSO2 in North America in April 2020. Afterwards, launched the game globally in August. So when they decided to do NGS, okay, so when they decided to do NGS is when they brought it to global, because they wanted to push NGS everywhere. So they needed a baseline with classic PSO2. So essentially, if NGS didn't happen, we never would have gotten classic PSO2 globally, is what it sounds like to me. They only decided to do that because of NGS. That's probably why it was so accelerated of updates, was to catch up because of NGS coming out. That makes sense to me. Yeah, so be thankful that NGS is here, goddammit. Yeah. Yeah, just to hook people in, get people like invested with the PSO2 and all the content it had. I think Microsoft also had like a hand in it, or at least helped. So I think maybe with, I don't know if it was like with servers or whatever, but there was the exclusive stuff with Microsoft for a second, because like it was on Xbox only at first for like a few months, and then it was on PC only through the Microsoft Store. It wasn't until like quite a bit later than it was like on Steam and like the Epic Store, and then, you know, only until recently PlayStation. So one of the hallmarks of Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis is the various types of scratch tickets, where you can win various fashion, hairstyles, and more from. You talk about how you design and develop the various items that are constantly being added in the game that players can win through scratch tickets. Okay, so this is just talking about how they do the cosmetics. Okay, so primarily I, as the producer, along with the item director and game designer, create content plans, communicate with them with the art team. The art team then refines the details while consulting with the planners about concepts and decides who will be responsible for creating the design based on the plan. The design work may be done by internal or external staff. That's interesting. So sometimes they'll show it off to other people that are not part of Sega then? Is that what that means? Like external in terms of like third party? Or external as like not in their department? Like somewhere else within Sega? Third party freelancer for art. And yeah, like it's nothing new, but it's just kind of like interesting. Considering, I think usually JP keeps like stuff like within house a lot. External being the actual Sonic team. Yeah, they have the Sonic team do it. Yeah. I guess like with the art, because like I think a lot of anime studios do that. Like they like the main people make like the key frames, and then they have like other like animators do like all the stuff in between, like for those frames when they make all that. So I guess it kind of makes sense. Initially, three rough design proposals are presented and discussed with the art director and planners to narrow it down to one, which is then used as a basis for the finalized drawing. Once the drawing is finalized, the item's director determines color changes and decoration specifications, and puts in a request to the modeler to create the item. The art team and item department director supervise the completed model, make final adjustments, and then finalize it. For outfits, it takes approximately 8 to 10 months. 8 to 10 months from the planning stage to release. Yeah, that makes sense. Considering, you know, every contest that happens, you know, when they ask for people to make like these outfits or accessories, whatever, like art, and, you know, try to win some prizes out of it, it then takes that long to get them into the game. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. So I'm guessing that they actually drum up a whole bunch of accessories and stamps and stuff like really fast. It's just the outfits that take a long time, especially like the cast parts. Because that's probably why you don't see like a lot of cast parts very often, because it takes this long to do them. I mean, outfits are a lot more involved. It deals with the whole body. And, you know, some of them are set wear, some of them are base wear. With base wear, there could be outerwear with it. Yeah, it's a lot more than just like a accessory they just slap on. Next question. The new Slayer class, which uses a gunblade weapon, was just released in Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis in April 2023. Can you talk about the class and what it was like developing it? What has the player response to the Slayer class been like so far, and how do you personally feel about it? They say, this class has been designed for skilled players who can fully utilize the technical controls and can combo their attacks to unleash even stronger attacks. Not only does it incorporate elements such as switching photon arts and multiple counters, but also makes the movement and active skills of the photon arts themselves easy to understand, so I hope that many players will give it a try. Since its release, we've received a lot of positive feedback from many players about how satisfying the action is. I'm very happy to hear that. Yeah, I'd say Slayer has done really well. I feel like it can be a challenging class to like master, but to get into it, it's like not that bad. Like it's easy enough to just kind of play casually, but if you want to try to min-max it, you can. You can do a lot of extra things to just squeeze out more and more damage. I feel like that goes for like a lot of the classes, but I feel Slayer definitely has that way more. Like there's a lot more with Slayer in terms of like the different things that you can do, because a lot of the PAs have like two different parts to them. Yeah, the multiple counters. Yeah, it's just way more options to say. And I heard there's like, well, actually I've seen in action because I've done it myself, that you can cancel a lot of them early with like sidestepping, so you can save some frames to do more damage over time. And then there's like the counter canceling, like the weapon action canceling. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can save frames for. And it's interesting to see with like speedrunners. It's definitely interesting to see. Let's see the next one. What can you tell us generally about the new Ultra Evolution update? Why did you decide to title it Ultra Evolution? Ultra Evolution was a temporary name. The official at launch will be PSO2 New Genesis version 2, so I'll skip this question. Wow! What? So I'll just skip it. I'll just skip this one. Not talk about Ultra Evolution. I feel like this is PR move big time. Cause they still call it Ultra Evolution, even though they say that they don't. They said that it was tentative, but they still use it. I can just prove it right now. I have proved it before. When you go to their YouTube, when you look at their version 2 trailer, NGS will undergo an Ultra Evolution. Right there. Right there. They still say that it's an Ultra Evolution. Like, I don't understand this. Like, I know it was a temporary name as, like, the main title, but you guys still use the wording. I don't know why you're just, like, fully avoiding the question. And even so, why don't you just talk about it, why it's called version 2, then? Why don't you just talk about why it's this instead of this? That's just, like, I don't know, BS to me. Yeah, I think it's just trying to save face by going away from that name because it wasn't really a Ultra Evolution in, like, many people's eyes. So that makes sense. I don't know. This is like the one question so far that I think is like they answered terribly. Like it's bullshit. But next one. One of the biggest changes in PSO2 New Genesis version 2 update is the upcoming Creative Space and Connect system. Hey, the Connect system is pretty nice. Can you talk about what Creative Space is, including what are Genesis points, and how the Connect system will encourage social gameplay? The Creative Space is a crafting zone that gives our players a high degree of creative expression. Players can freely combine build parts such as building materials and furniture to create houses and buildings, and edit the terrain to create beautiful landscapes. Genesis points are a new in-game point system obtained by using the creative space and playing its related tasks. Players can use these points to purchase build parts and items that can be useful in battle, such as capsules. The Connect system is a feature that links the parts and have been arranged in the creative space. Using the system, players can create their own obstacle courses and minigames. In this way, players can create their own gameplay experiences and share them with others, enabling a truly creative and social playstyle unique to NGS. Yeah, it's like a pretty straightforward answer. A lot of this we like already knew about. Yeah, I really enjoy the addition of Genesis points. I feel like this helps adds like another layer to it for those that like to get rewards. Other than, it's just like a fun like creative space, So there's actually like a reason to do this, even if you don't like the whole creative space idea or don't really think that you're gonna play it much. It adds like value to it, like in terms of like an actual currency. So I do enjoy that, and it helps you purchase more build parts, or you can just use it for materials or capsules or whatever. Yeah, this is just like a whole building spot, just mess around, make your own obstacle course and minigames. I really do hope in the future that they add a way to put NPCs in this, like enemy NPCs, to make our own dungeons, our own encounters. Because I don't think this is going to happen right when it drops, because I haven't talked about it at all. So it doesn't sound like that's going to be a thing at the moment. But I feel like that would help in terms of, I don't know, adding more ways to play the game. And, if people have been complaining about like they don't like the certain quests that there are in the game now, they could just make their own. And I feel like it would make it more like a Mario Maker feel other than just it being, a housing thing or obstacle course. Because I don't know. For me personally, I don't really like the field races, and I don't think it's going to be enjoyable for the creative space. I don't know, maybe it's people because it makes some really cool things. It's probably going to be better than field races, but I don't know, maybe. It really depends on how much you can put in the spaces. It seemed like it was quite a bit. And also what they give us access to. I don't know, like this, it's hard to say. It's hard to say because it really depends on the player's creativity and what's done. I'm definitely excited to see what people will make. But yeah, let's go to the next thing. Oh, they're talking about the enemy type here. There's a new enemy type coming in the version 2 update. Can you tell us about it and how the development team created a new type of enemy that's not merely a retread of prior content in the game? Okay, let's see. The new enemy race is called Starless. To create more challenging battle content after the major update, we have designed them to be clearly superior entities compared to the previous enemies, such as the dolls. Following the update, they'll appear in the open field, but some Starless enemies will specifically appear as targets to be defeated in future high difficulty content. Yeah, that's the stuff that's happening in August, right? Or beyond. They did say that there was going to be a unique enemy. So I guess it's just confirmed that it's going to be Starless ones. So, I mean, I guess kind of figured that was going to be the case, but I don't know. Like they're very similar. Like they definitely look the same. At least like the Didal one does. Other ones are a little bit more unique. That we saw, but I think like the only difference that I saw, at least in the headline, was that it could shoot out of its shoulder or whatever, and then it could buff itself. And that was it. I think everything else was the same. Like it could smash with its sword or whatever, just the same. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like it's a part reused asset, partially. We'll see when it actually happens in game. You're also introducing Cel Shading in the version 2 update. Where did the idea to introduce these alternate graphics schemes come from, and how's it being implemented into the game? Will players still be able to use the classic graphical style? Yeah, I'm actually kind of curious on why they did this or where it came from. The character creation system evolved greatly for PSO2 and NGS, as we were considering how to further advance and evolve the system, and that's when we began considering cel shading implementation. Generally speaking, games that use cel shading had planned for that from the start, so they create dedicated game systems and assets for it. Since we'd be introducing it later on in NGS, honestly, I felt that implementing cel shading would be impossible. So I asked the lead development staff at the time to experiment with it while expecting that it wouldn't be possible. However, the dev team researched it over a long period of time, also working on their normal dev duties. And at some point, made a presentation of their experiment results. After that, we decided to introduce it together with version 2. Cel shading is an optional function, so you can toggle it on or off in the salon. Yeah, I feel like people don't really give a lot of credit to cel shading. Like, it's actually kind of insane that it's possible. And in this way, where you can just turn it on and off. And how it just kind of works. Because a lot of games that have cel shading, yeah, they're there from the beginning, and it's like, that's the intended art style. So there isn't another thing that you could, like, toggle to. But, like, at the same time, it is just, like, a cosmetic thing, and that's why people are upset, or have been upset with it. Yeah, like, we haven't really, like, seen this with any other game, I don't think. I don't think any other game has done this. Like, there's been other games that have had ways to swap styles. I just feel like there's so much involved with cel shading. That's like crazy. But I don't know. Like I'm not, you know, an artist person or a developer in that way. Like I have no clue. Yeah, cel shading. Like I'll probably be using it personally. I still think it's what people like. All this comes down to people didn't want this to replace the other content. They like it's cool that it's there. But where is the content that we've been wanting this entire time? Like, I don't think this was, like, asked for over the combat gameplay or other aspects of the game. Like, sure, it's coming August, but couldn't you have done this in August instead? Couldn't have this been the August thing? Or, like, some of the other cosmetics things been in August instead? Like, I feel like the priority thing is a little bit off. I don't know, like, maybe there's different teams working on this. But it says the dev team here. So I would assume that's one and the same with the combat. Yeah, let's continue on with this question. In the NGS headline video, dated April 25th, 2023, you discuss how Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis is managed. The PR management staff are in charge of relaying new information to players, and the developers and yourself focus on game development and keeping up to speed on the reactions and opinions of players. You also discuss how you had originally intended to deliver regions, weapons, and classes at a quicker pace the launch of PSO2 NGS than what ultimately happened. You talk about how you gather those reactions and opinions of players to analyze. Is there a specific feature players have asked for that stood out the most for you? And how do you balance integrating what players want in the game with the development timeline that you already have planned out? So that's a lot of questions there. Let's see what they have to say. Kimura has to say. Player feedback and opinions are collected through posts to official support channels and comments on various social media platforms. Dedicated staff, including Hiro Rai, compile and summarize this feedback. The development team also checks posts and social media daily to gather relevant reactions and opinions for consideration. During weekly meetings, the team of directors and I discuss and decide on the responses on methods regarding these matters. We also review the progress of implementing improvements and adjustments that were previously decided upon. For cases where progress has been made in terms of addressing certain issues, we may consult with Hero and the operations staff to inform users about the direction through the headline program or on Twitter. Sometimes Hero himself checks on the progress. Okay, I'll just digest that portion for a second. So, yeah, it sounds like they're pretty active when it comes to checking all of the social media. I'm guessing like they're talking about, yeah, Twitter for sure, like Discord. Where else do they have stuff? Do they have stuff like elsewhere that's like significant? I mean, I know they have like some Facebook things, but I don't know how often they would check that. But maybe elsewhere. Yeah, I wonder when they talk about like the operations staff, does that includes global, like the global employees? It says that like JP and global, and like they talk with Hero, and like Hero is like the main like representative or operation staff like lead. Is that like his position? Because like all we really know him as is like the NGS headline navigator, right? But I think he has more to do than that, right? Like he isn't just there to just be the pretty face for NGS headline. So it sounds like his position is actually being a lead for this team, the operations. I think YouTube as well. That's true. Yeah, YouTube comments. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder like how much in a day that they check though, because they didn't like that isn't really specified, right? They check daily, but how much are they actually checking? I know like some of the staff members from what I've seen, you know, I've looked at my stuff before, like some of my videos, so I know that for a fact. They've commented on a few things that showed up in stream here before, so I imagine that they do that for other people as well. At least content creators. They talk. I know they talk a little bit in Discord. I don't know how much because I don't really look in there too often. Just like sometimes. But I guess like they're pretty active in there. I feel like when it comes to Twitter, I don't think they respond as much. Because I think on my posts on Twitter, they've responded twice, 2 times, I think. But I wonder how much they're actually looking through the hashtag, you know, the NGS headline, the hashtag rap email, hashtag whatever else they use, all those different things. Because there just has to be like, there has to be an insane amount. There's just like no way that they could physically go through every single post. There's just no way. Yeah. I wonder how much of all that they look at, they like either write down in notes or take as feedback and put it into these meetings. Like what things are actually being taken. Let's see. However, the speed at which improvements and adjustments are actually reflected in the game varies and cannot be generalized. Depends on the complexity and urgency of implementation. Simple changes can be reflected within 2 or 3 months, while more challenging ones may take 6 months or more. Furthermore, since these developments were not originally planned, we have to decide whether to prioritize them based on how urgent the changes are, which may lead to delaying or reducing our original development plans. Generally, we develop content that would be released 6 months to over a year in advance. If it's something that's difficult to do but not very urgent, even if we have accepted the requests or opinions, it may take 1.5 years to 2 years or more for them to be implemented. Oh my god, that's a long time. That is a long time. Oh my god, considering, like, what? We just read that Universe lasted, like, 6 years, right? Base PSO2, like, with its actual lifespan, lasted about, what, 8 years before NGS came out? Yeah, 8 years, I think. 8 years and some change. So it literally takes like 1/3 or 1/4 of the lifespan of the whole game to get stuff in. Oh my god, dude. That's a long time. So with all this feedback that we're giving, it takes that long to be put in. If it's not urgent, that is. Got it. So, I mean, I guess they were just saying that Chapter 5 was about the spots that we were starting to see some player feedback actually being put into, like, the story. I think that it goes for, like, everything moving forward is, like, there's actually going to be player feedback applied. But that player feedback is from who knows how long ago, right? Like, how are they... Like, how does this even work?
One more!
Because if they're supposed to do relevant feedback, right, from all these daily things that they're doing, or weekly meetings, whatever, how do they actually apply this to when it's relevant? Because by the time it's a year and a half or 2 years down the line, it's no longer relevant. It doesn't matter anymore. We're moved on. Oh my god. But it makes sense, right? Because they talked about, like, when they actually revealed to us that Creative Spaces existed was September or sometime like later last year. It's just now getting into the game, but that's when they revealed it to us. So they were working on that before too. So yeah, you can kind of just tell from that that's like how long it takes. So they've probably been cooking Creative Spaces for a while. So probably about this time period. So yeah, anything significant with the game, yeah, we probably won't see until, you know, that long. So there's the stuff in August, right, that they've been hyping up. So my question is, when is the next significant thing going to be? Like, is it going to be a year from now, a year and a half from now, 2 years from now? Like, is that how long we have to wait in between each of these things? Or are they working on, like, all of these significant things while they're working on that one? That doesn't make sense to me, right? You would think they would want to complete something, finish it, and then move on to the next thing. So if that's the case, I don't think we'll see like a big thing until a year and a half or 2 years. That really sucks. That really sucks. I'm thinking too fast. I mean, considering that they are reusing Alio, going through it again, how long do you think that's going to take? How long do you think it's going to take for them to go through all 4 regions again? Because when we saw in the headline, there's an Ale Sovereign augment. So specifically Alio version of that. So that means they plan on doing a Retem Sovereign, a Caveris Sovereign augment, a Stia Sovereign augment. So is it going to take 6 months to do that? It's going to take a year to do that? Year and a half? 2 years? Like 2 years, it says here? Definitely a year at least. Yeah, I was saying like at a minimum 6 months, but I think that's too generous. Yeah, it's probably going to be a year. Yeah, because in my video that I did like 6 months ago, when I was guessing on what was going to happen with the game, I guessed that they were going to reuse the regions, like, for this update. Like, I guessed that, because, I mean, what else would you expect? Like, they want to do a full remake, like people were wanting. Like, we would like that, but, you know, it's just not going to happen. But in December, I was thinking they're going to do something bigger, right? But I don't know if that's going to hold true anymore. Because if the thing in August is supposed to be this big quest mode that's supposed to help boost people with the combat stuff, like, is there anything else in the tank? Is there anything else in the pipeline? I mean, there has to be. There has to be, right? Yeah, that's what you would think. But we don't know, and they won't tell us until it happens. But this is gonna give us an idea, like more of an idea, at least on like the smaller updates, because I kind of figured this was already the case. With Creative Spaces taking like a whole year themselves, year and a half, anyways. But for them to turn around anything, simple things are 2 to 3 months. So that's probably just little like fixes, bug fixes, I don't know. Would also be considered simple changes. Because I don't think like a whole balance change would be like simple. Like that's probably like more like the 6 months or more range with this challenging one. I think like challenging ones are like the outfits, as they were saying, with the art, because that took what they said 8 months. So that's what they consider challenging, is like the outfits, which I'm pretty sure it is. It probably is. There's a lot involved with it, but that's what they consider challenging, right? So anything like significant modes or like the creative spaces, like the big updates, that's where this is at. But not urgent. I wonder what they consider urgent. Well, can you guys recall what was something that was urgent that they did kind of quick in terms of I think I know. I think I know. It's when people were pissed off with classes at the launch of the game. They had to make a whole switch around. Because remember, people were getting tired of like more and more classes just being released. Oh yeah, maybe we should change our game plan and what we are doing with the game, so it isn't just classes and that's it. So there's like Retem, and like Retem probably got changed up a lot. Switch arounds, like they changed the whole game plan around. That's what I mean. And that's what this urgent means. That's probably what was something urgent, because like their game was going to get screwed if they didn't do that. New class would be the content for the whole month. Yeah. Yeah, the Braver, Bouncer. And then they were planning on doing what we knew as Summoner back then, but Waker. They're going to do shortly after Retem, actually. And Slayer, or the Gunblade class as it was then, was going to be shortly after that. So they changed that. They delayed those things in favor of some other stuff. So they switched the urgency, the priority. Yeah, this is just probably stuff to do with bug fixes. Maybe it's like a little bit of UI changes. I guess like some of the quality of life things, but I feel like some of the quality of life things would actually go into this 6 month range. This is what we usually see, right? Like it takes them around like 6 months-ish to see quality of life. I don't know, maybe not. It really depends on what it is. Because I feel like we do see quality of life changes every couple of months or so. Like every 2 or 3 months. That kind of makes sense. Maybe that's what it falls under. I feel like the one that we're getting like right now with the camera change, like where you can do the field of vision, I feel like that was like more of a challenging one to do. That's what it would fall under this. But yeah, like the balance changes with the classes, that definitely falls under this, because we only see those like every 6 months. Same with, I guess, like used to be story. I don't know how they said they're going to change the pace of story now. So maybe the story is going to be 2 or 3 months, fall into this simple change. But it seems like they're breaking it up into parts now. So chapter 6, part 1, part 2, and then maybe chapter 7, part 1, part 2. It's probably going to be around the same pace, but just broken up into chunks. That's my guess. I don't know if we're going to actually get more story overall in a shorter period of time, but we'll see. We'll see. So I would say at a bare minimum, just reading this from today with this update, it's probably going to be a year before we see something major again. At least. So that's probably how long it's going to take to get out of the regions. But they did joke about, in the headline plus, they were joking, I don't know, kind of like laughing at the players, like, do you guys really want more zones? Do you guys really want more regions? Like, is that going to fix the game? They said it in a way that kind of was belittling the players, but I kind of understand what they're talking about. But I would rather take different regions than reusing the same ones. I'd rather take new ones and to develop the plot and also explore new areas. And also with that can be more content. Like, I don't know. Like, for me personally, I would take a new region over reusing the same one. I'm sure it's more effort, but You guys do not have phones. Yeah, they also said that. Yeah, you guys don't have phones. What's going on here? That was another one of those situations. Um, yeah. I felt like in the headline plus, I understood the reasoning behind saying some of the certain things, but I think they need to work on not belittling the players, because we're not dumb. We're not dumb. We know what we want. We know what stuff is good. It just like, I don't know, say in a way like, regions aren't the priority right now. We understand you guys want new regions, but to improve the game, we want to put in more modes. I feel like they could have said something like that along those lines instead of, I really want more regions. Yeah, okay. Let's move on to the next one, though. What updates for endgame content, not including for Fashion, are coming into PS2 New Genesis? Alright, so this is where they're talking about the August thing. In August, we plan to release some content quests that will have a significant amount of random elements designed for party play and will encourage multiple attempts. At the same time, we're also planning to release ultra-difficult quests geared towards party play, such as the dual quests that are available now that feature one very powerful boss. So there's actually a couple things happening at the same time. So multiple ultra-difficult quests, which are basically dual quests, but for a party. I think this is probably where they were talking about this doesn't involve specialized equipment, because they realized, oh, dual quests, the Defi capsules are a bad idea and players hate them. So for these party things, we're not going to require the Defis or anything like that. But it's going to be just like one boss fight again, so it's just going to be like those. So my question is this going to be different from purple triggers? Like, I know it's just one boss versus 5 bosses or whatever, but is this going to feel different? Like, is this actually going to be a very, very powerful boss fight? Is it going to feel something extraordinary? Or is this going to be more of the same? Like, is it just going to be like a UQ purple trigger kind of thing? Like, well, I don't know. I don't know. Well, it's another, like, we'll see. I'm more interested in the top one. The other quests that will have significant amount of random elements designed for party play and encourage multiple attempts. I'm more interested in that, whatever that's going to be. I said that was going to be like challenge modes, maybe. It could just be like exploration areas from base game PSO2 or the original Phantasy Star Online. It could be either of those, I think. Divide quests, I don't think it's going to happen, guys. I know some people have been saying divide quests. I don't think that's going to be the case. If it is, I'll be very surprised, and I'll definitely take it. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be like, if I was to say that it wasn't challenge mode, I'd probably say it'd probably be like ultimate quests. Ultimate quests in PSO2. Because those were randomized, right? And there was like a boss at the end, because they were talking about a boss that was unique. Just so you could just end it whenever you wanted to. I don't know if they were like completely randomized, but like, you know, the bosses changed because they were like an exploration area. I feel like that's what it's going to be close to. Some sort of NGS spin on all that, though. It's probably going to be in Lucille, because that'd be like the easiest spot to just do that for. Because they have like all of the, I guess like the lore, it can create areas, because Lucille is where everything kind of came from. You know, us and the areas. It's kind of like the weather machine, cloning machine, whatever. So that could maybe do that. I'm interested in like, it'll encourage multiple attempts part. So it's something that you're going to want to run over and over again. So it's not going to be like limited. It's not going to be like limited in terms of like challenge mode was for base game PSO2 at least. Because that you just did once for the weekly thing and that was it. So we'll see what that mode becomes. I think this August thing, if this isn't good, if that isn't good, like, can we expect anything beyond that? Like, because they're putting a lot of faith into that August stuff. Yeah, I feel like if you don't like what happens in August and you're a combat kind of person, don't care for the creative spaces, if it isn't good, I think it would be time to move on. Like, personally. If it isn't good for me, I might do so. It really depends. They're hyping me up. Yeah, they've said a lot of buzzwords before, right? With the ultra difficult quest thing here, they called Geolab, the Geometric Labyrinth, or Trinitas. They called that a super challenging quest, and you guys, some of you know that it was terrible. Like, it was a nice concept, but it was executed terribly. It was a very long mode that gave, like, no rewards. They were all bad. It was, like, exclusive. They were tree augments, but they were bad augments. And, I don't know, like, there was some procedural stuff to it. There was some randomized elements, like it says here, that there just wasn't enough, or it was done bad, because some floors were just way better than others to get, because there was the one floor that we talked about before, where you hit a target and it spawns, like, mobs, like 3 waves of mobs that take forever to kill, so it just wastes your time. It just eats up the time limit that's in that quest. So you pretty much just quit if you see that floor. You just exit and restart. And it was just so bad that later down the line, this last January, or yeah, I think it was January, where they had to fix it. They had to revise some of the things that were happening in there. And I still like it. I think rank 1 is still bad. I think it's still bad. It's, I don't know, they could do more to salvage it, but I don't think they care at this point. Like, they did as much as they wanted to do. But yeah, they changed up some of the floor composition. I still think they have that multiple waves floor. I haven't played it, though, really. I played, like, a little bit after the revision just to check it out. But yeah, they added the modifiers that helped you, but that didn't do anything for people that wanted to get a high score, because they minus your score. So that change didn't matter as much. And what? I think the most significant was that if you died or lost, you didn't have to wait the entire duration of the time limit to just get the rewards and get out of there. You could just like wait a few seconds and then it would be done. Because yeah, before, if you died, you either had to just exit, or you had to wait the whole duration of the quest to be completed. But thankfully, that's no longer a thing. But yeah, rank 2 happened. That one is okay. Rank 2 Geolab's okay, but it lost the whole point of Geolab. Yeah. So basically, back to this. It's hard to trust these buzzwords. Ultra difficult, you know, random elements. Like, is that going to be good use of random elements? Is that actually going to be ultra difficult? Is it a very powerful boss fight? Is this boss fight something that we actually would enjoy? Is this going to be something that is kind of like more reused? Because this is multiple quests, keep in mind. So it's bound to be enemies that they're going to already have. Like, not all of them are going to be unique. There's no way. There is no way. I think it's all going to be focused on Starless. That's probably the bet there. Like, that would make sense. Yeah. I hope it's good. I hope it's good. Yeah, next question. Next question. Which a lot of people don't like this one either. It's about... oh, God. Okay. The Ark's Ship Casino has yet to make an appearance in Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis. Is that feature that players can expect to eventually return? Nope. Nope. We do not have any plans to implement the PSO2 Casino in NGS. Even if we were to transfer over into NGS as is with very minimal changes to the functionality, making it playable in NGS would be far more difficult and time-consuming than players might expect. As the casino is still playable in the PSO2 blocks, rather than try to transfer it over, transfer the experience that already exists. We'd like to focus on implementing new and unique gameplay experiences. So essentially, they're just saying, no. Nope, we're not doing it. Don't plan on doing it. It already exists. Just go into base game to experience casino. So they don't want to do anything that's casino-like in NGS, like even a changed casino that is a different experience. Nope. Can't have a casino that could give you NGS rewards that would be relevant. Nope. Can't do that. You're gonna have to download 50 plus gigs of data to enjoy the casino if you don't have base game downloaded, because base game's gonna be DLC after this update. So if you want to save space on your hard drive, no. If you want casino, you can't do that. Yeah, it's quite like why? I feel like so many people are asking for this. Like, there's a reason people are asking for this, right? For NGS, because they want to see the casino happen in a new NGS way. Like, the problem isn't, that the experience already exists. It's just like they want a new experience for NGS with casino. And also, a big thing that people have been wanting with casino is to have it be a universal ship, so that they could play with other people from other ships, just like how you can with challenge mode or battle mode or whatever in base game. I feel like that's been asked so much. Is that really impossible to do for you? Is it really possible? I feel like so many people enjoy this. Yeah, maybe it's just to keep base game alive. Like, I don't know. But like, if casino's like the only thing that's worth it, like, I mean, come on. No. Just no. It is the only thing worth it. Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, in their standpoint, like, do they think that? Do they think that casino's like the only thing that's upholding PSO2 base game? Like, that's the only reason why they left it connected? I don't think so. Base game was dead as soon as they took away SG. Well, there's SG in the casino. That's like the only thing that like carries over, right? Yeah. We'd ask for this fleshed out version of PQ, so why wouldn't they say maybe or anything other than no? Yeah. I mean, they didn't just straight up say no, they're not going to do it. They said they don't have any plans for it. Plans can change. But as we saw with, it may take a year and a half or 2 years for stuff to be implemented. Even if they plan it now, it'd be that far ahead. Because it wouldn't be urgent. They don't see it as an urgent thing to do. So, even if they plan it this second, that's how far away it's going to be. Version 4? Yeah, version 4! Let's go, casino! Yeah. I personally think it would be nice to see like a refresher with the casino. Just have it be different games. You can have it both exist. I don't see why you can't have both exist. Because and in the base game casino, you get base game triggers, base game cosmetics, and then you can just have NGS cosmetics, NGS whatevers, triggers, etc. I don't know. But yeah, let's move on from that one. Pretty upsetting to see. To someone who hasn't played PSO2 New Genesis before and is thinking about starting the game with upcoming PSO2 New Genesis version 2 update, what do you have to say to them? Even though it's already been 2 years since NGS was released, compared to other online games, NGS has been designed to make it easy to catch up to players, even if you're new. Also, the centerpiece of NGS version 2 is the creative space, which will be played after clearing the tutorial and the prologue. That's actually pretty early. Which should take less than an hour. As such, I believe that version 2 is a great opportunity for players to give the game a try. Yep. I wonder, do you think like the way that they're making content is just because of this one specific line? Just so it's still easy for players to catch up? Like, is that how they're gonna make the content? It's just so it's always easy to catch up. New players catch up then quit because there's nothing to do. Yeah, like it doesn't matter if it's easy to catch up. Like there has to be fun content in the end. There has to be like reason to stay. I do think Creative Space will grab a certain audience that hasn't existed for NGS so far. I think it will appeal to those that play like, I don't know, Animal Crossing or The Sims or something. That'd be cool for those people, but I feel like NGS has an identity crisis. Like, I don't know if they know what they want to do with the game. Like, it doesn't seem like there's much direction of, like, what is going on. Like, what do they want to do? Like, where do they want this to go? They said here that what they had planned up to was essentially up to version 2. Everything from now on is all like newer stuff after launch and more recent things, like more recent developments, right? So they had no clue, no clue on any of this like stuff, right? So what next thing are they gonna like spitball? What next thing are they gonna spitball at us? Well, what's another dart on the board? More than 2 years live, we don't have a goal as a game. Yeah, like where are we going? What's happening? No one is playing an action RPG for Minecraft building. Yeah, well, it feels all experimental. Yeah, I think that's just a huge thing with JP companies, because when we look at Nintendo, they experiment a lot as well. I just think their experimented stuff is more polished, I guess. Or I guess like, at least comes out in a more at a faster pace. I don't know how to put it, but Nintendo, I guess, doesn't really have online in the same way. Because like when I think of the same stuff that NGS is doing here, we were talking about it earlier. Creative Spaces, Mario Maker, like when you compare the two, what was it? There's something else that we talked about. Oh yeah, Zelda. Zelda, also Creative Spaces, or the map, or the open world. Like it looks like a lot of trying to copy, but a little bit different. A wee bit different. I don't think that's exactly the case, but I don't know, maybe just because Nintendo stuff is more focused on the single player experience or like co-op experience instead of like a full online action RPG, all these other things attached. That they have a centralized focus. They focus on the one thing that the game needs to do. Like Mario Maker, you make levels. That's it. You make the levels, you do the stuff, you do the platforming, there it is. Zelda, you're in the open world, you're killing stuff, you're doing shrines, the temples, usual stuff with Zelda, and there it is. There isn't a little bit over here, a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit of whatever. I think they really need to focus on what the majority of players are talking about. I think they should take the supposedly what they're taking daily of, put it into this ball, and what is the most asked for stuff? Right there. Like, you're getting the information, you have it available to you. Maybe the answer is this. Maybe this is the answer. Maybe they already have this. Maybe they already have it in the bag. We just don't know it yet. But given the track record over the past couple of years, I can't say for sure. I just can't, be 100% positive about it anymore. Like, oh yeah, this is it. There it is. There it is. But yeah, the copium, yeah. But I do pray for Sega's success. I want NGS to thrive. I want new players to show up. I think they just need to really hone on in. And I don't know if it's possible. Because like, you know, like the Sega is very corporate. So there's a lot of working parts, there's a lot of mechanisms, there's a lot of hands. But I would like to see more turnaround with player feedback. Like, I would really like to see it. I don't know if it's possible, but there's that. Yeah, I'm very passionate about this game. Like, I played it a while. I played base game. I mean, I'm not like a super fan of Phantasy Star series. Like, I didn't play, you know, original PSO. Didn't play Universe when that was a thing because I just wasn't aware of its existence. And but yeah, I still enjoy. I have enjoyed, you know, my time. For overall, I've enjoyed my time. I just would like to see more of that time be more enjoyable. In the end, I think that's everything to do with this article. I think it was like overall really good. They gave more insight on what's going on behind the scenes. Looking forward to what they're going to do, but with the reserved expectations. So this is a new interview. NGS version 2 interview appeared in the media for the first time in several years. Interview with Yuya Kimura, head of the development and operation team, about the prospects for NGS version 2. Okay. Yeah, the series producer, and this is on Dengeki Online. Let's see. Oh, the translated English version here. Okay, so this one. After 5 years back in front of players. As this is the first time you've spoken with the media since NGS launch, would you mind introducing yourself? Yeah, kinda... Yeah, wait. Oh, there's a little bit more information here from another article. I've been involved with the Phantasy Star series ever since I joined Sega. I first joined as a planner for PSO on the GameCube, and then worked as a director for the Portable 2. I served as director for PSO2 until its launch, and afterwards I became the series director. I've been the series producer ever since NGS. So I've been a director for a long time, then became producer. Now you're in charge of the development team. I'm responsible for both development and operations. So this is the big man in charge. So he's the leader for like Hero Rise team, because Hero Rise kind of like from what I understand, the lead for operations. So everybody on like the PR and also everything to do with the NGS headline and getting like everything from social media and that thing, and then development, it's everything to do with like the dev team and the art team as well. So he's pretty much encompasses all of it almost. Yeah, he's the one who's mainly calling the shots, it seems. At least like the overhead of all that. He's the manager of the managers of maybe other managers. But yeah, please tell us why you've decided to speak with the media again at the timing of the NGS version 2 announcement. First, for PSO2, at the time, things within the game weren't good, and as often couldn't explain things well or made inappropriate remarks during official broadcasts. I lost my credibility. Originally, the intention of developers appearing publicly was to directly convey our thoughts. However, with my loss of credibility, there were instances where my statements were misunderstood or where players found it difficult to see others criticizing us. It's one thing for me to be judged harshly, but we didn't want this to affect the credibility of the title itself or deteriorate the relationship between players. So because of all the backlash is why he decided to speak, because he's messed up before with base game by not talking when there was backlash, is what it seems like. So if there wasn't as much backlash with version 2, he wouldn't be doing these interviews. Okay. So we're actually making an impact here, guys. We're actually getting them out of their shell. Yeah, I see. Also, development of for NGS had already started around the time of PSO2 episode 5. That's how far back. And it was decided that I would serve as the series producer, so I wanted to focus on game development under a new system. It's because of these complex reasons that I refrained from making appearances. I maintained that policy after the launch of NGS, however, there was an increasing demand for direct contact with the development team. Within Japan, there were those who understood the circumstances, but it has been 3 years since the launch of the global version of PSO2. There have been no appearances from the development team during that time. I began to reconsider making appearances again. Yeah, so for like JP, I guess it's like more understood that you know, there's a really direct contact with like manager people and only like representatives like Hiro Rai. But because of like the global stuff, like it was harder to understand, I guess. Because it's, I don't know, a lot like, I guess like with other game companies, you see a lot of people from development teams, right? Because I think Blizzard has been doing that recently too. People on like Overwatch or Diablo, they make appearances with the dev team. So I guess it's like more of a standard in America, at least, for the dev team to talk. Sadly, yes. Yeah, those weren't really good circumstances, but so was the case here, right? He came out because there was bad circumstances, so it's kind of the same thing. Was this something you decided, Mr. Kimura? We had several discussions and meetings involving the operations team and marketing staff. As a result, in consideration of improving the situation regarding a lack of content in NGS, an opportunity of reaching the 2-year milestone, I decided to make an appearance in order to express my gratitude to our supportive players. So yeah, this is a decision by like operations and marketing. Like, this is a good thing that you should probably do so it doesn't anger people as much. Let's see. Is this the only time you'll be making an appearance? Basically, Hiro Rai shares the latest updates in the show NGS headline, and we aren't planning on changing that format. That was what they were talking about in the headline before, where they weren't going to change, you know, how they were doing things was with NGS headline. I believe it would be good to have opportunities to convey messages at key points, but I'll carefully consider whether it may have any negative impact on the player community. So they're being very careful. This is just my personal impression, but I feel like the number of negative comments on YouTube for NGS headline has decreased. Has it? I don't know if this is true. I don't really read the YouTube comments, but is that true? Is it? It is possible that perception has changed over time. Also, this is the first time I made an appearance for global players, and we have a lot of new players who started with NGS. That decreased because people quit. Well, I think the headline that he showed up, there was no negative comments. So this might be a dated interview. Because the one that he showed up in was in April. And that one was actually received well because we thought we were getting more in the May one, which just happened. But that one, I feel like, has the negative comments. I feel. But the one that he showed up on, it was like a surprise. Like, oh, this guy's actually showing up, the series producer. It's kind of like a big deal. He's showing the stuff off and giving us, like, you know, he's apologizing for the previous stuff. And now this is going to be a new point in time. But as we found out with the next headline, that wasn't really the case. How many players got their start with NGS? In terms of domestic players within Japan, approximately 30% of the monthly active players started with NGS. It can exceed 40% when there's a major update. However, I still believe there is room to attract new players. 30% of the monthly active players started with NGS. So 70% that have been sticking around are from base. So there's more older players than new, like with NGS. So a lot stuck around because they were playing base game. I mean, it's just kind of fair because the Phantasy Star series. I don't know. I don't know, like, what that number. If that number's like good or bad, because like a long-standing series, so it kind of makes sense. There's more older than not. Yeah, I feel like that's good. I feel like that's a good number. As it's been 10 years since PSO2, are there any challenges that come with the title's age? Looking at the trend of getting many new players at the time of NGS's launch, I feel like at the time there wasn't that much of an impression of the game being that old. I think that most of the players who stopped playing did so because they were disappointed at the lack of content, or that the game was different from what they were expecting. Compared to competing titles, however, as it has been 2 years since NGS was released, maybe now there's a sense that it's an old title. In that sense, NGS version 2 represents a fresh start. So, okay. So they're trying to make it seem like a new game? With version 2? Is that what they're saying? You can't breathe. What? How does that make it seem like a new title or fresh start? I mean, this is a pretty rough fresh start. Creative spaces are like the only thing that's like fresh about it. Trying to rebrand, I guess. Yeah, I guess. I mean, okay, if I was just a person that has never played this before and I hear Phantasy Star Online 2, New Genesis version 2, I'm not going to think that it's new. I'm just going to think that it's going to be a new update of a game that's existed for a long time. I'm not, like, I don't know. I would just think it's like a expansion for the game, right? Yeah, it's getting kind of long, just a little bit. It's just a name. Yeah, like... That's why it's releasing Alien again. Yeah, some fresh start. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, this game actually just released, guys. Alien was something brand new, right? Wink, wink. Please tell the new players that, okay? I don't think it really makes sense to me. PSO2 newer Genesis. Yeah, I should have went with that instead. There you go. Yeah, okay, let's move on to the next one. Not be stuck on that. Okay, the intention behind NGS version 2. Looking at the content shown since NGS version 2 was announced, personally it seems that you're putting more effort into things other than combat. What is the intent behind this? Oh, good question. As I said before, I believe there are still many new players out there. So yeah, it was to grab new players. I figured as much. We'd like for some of these players who perhaps don't know NGS or haven't had any interest in it to give the game a try. We felt that the updates we had in the past would not resonate with these players, so we've included content that's different from what we've had in NGS up to now, such as Cel Shading, as an increase in players would be good not only for us, but for the existing players as well. But the problem is you lose the identity with the game. Like, what is this game? What is it? This goes back to the thing that I said earlier. This game is a whole bunch of sides. There's no main piece. There's no meal. It's just a whole bunch of sides. Like some potatoes, some mac and cheese, some greens. Where's my steak? Where's my steak? Losing identity? What identity? Okay, fair. Okay, it hasn't gained an identity. Like, where's the identity at? Right? I mean, it's just saying, like, Phantasy Star as a whole, the series, not just NGS, it's losing identity. It's losing the Phantasy Star identity. Like, it's no longer Phantasy Star. It's whatever they're trying to do to appeal to new players. But are creative spaces really going to be something that's going to keep new players just with that? Like, is it going to attract and keep those attracted players? That's my question. Because there's, like, all this... there's the other part of the game that's there that you pretty much have to play to get the star gems and the Genesis points and the stuff and the I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, we don't know yet. I'm sure there's some. Like, realistically, there would be some that would stick around just for creative spaces, because there's some people that stick around just for the cosmetics and literally don't level at all. Like, there's some people that are level 1 and just buy cosmetics and stick into the city. Or level whatever. Level bare minimum. But yeah, I just don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. I just really don't. But, let's see. I was under the impression that the creative space was a response to the demand for personal quarters, but it seems that it's quite well designed, almost too well designed. Speaking about the background, we considered that we'd retain from PSO2 when developing NGS. Yeah, why didn't you consider a casino? We felt that the personal quarters were low priority and that we'd implement them eventually. However, when NGS launched, we found that demand for them was far greater than what we'd anticipated. We realized that we needed to prioritize them. So not the same with Casino, then? Why'd you give such a different answer when Casino was asked? Oh my god. On the other hand, the initial stages of NGS, I felt that there was a lot of content that couldn't exceed players' expectations in terms of changes from PSO2. Taking that into account, we felt that simply adding personal quarters within the scope of what everyone could imagine was no good, so we decided to create something that would subvert players' expectations in a good way. Yeah, it's, yeah, exactly, Tamaki. Don't prioritize the side content, you know, when you need to work on the main content. Exactly. And they literally gave a complete opposite answer when it came to Casino in the other interview. They say that a lot of people ask for it, but then they're like, we have no plans for it, even though people want it. Yeah, they do not have any plans, and like, why not just go over to base game and experience it? It's already there in base game. Same thing with personal quarters, Sega here, or, you know, whatever, Kimura. Personal quarters in base game, experience it there, right? Why don't you just do that? I don't get the ideology here. Why do you say this can be put into NGS, but Casino can't? It's probably because they can monetize this. That's probably why. I don't think they can really monetize Casino too much without being it like direct gambling. That's probably the reason. Yeah, real money Casino, let's go. Yeah, they pretty much just say they just can't. They just can't. It's too hard. It's too time consuming. It's not worth it. Shaking my head. Shaking my head. Okay, is it true that in terms of the fundamental personal quarters, there hasn't been any major changes since Phantasy Star Universe? Another reason is the aspect of the gameplay experience. For the online games, I believe that simply providing content unilaterally cannot fully satisfy the player's enjoyment and sense of awe. I think that by allowing players to create new ways to play and expand the world, the experience can become even more enjoyable and long-lasting. So I guess like he just wants to do other things because yes. Because yes. I feel like this is just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna do what we want. You know, we're just gonna do a whole bunch of random things, and hopefully the players are satisfied. They can do stuff. All these random things. Alright, interacting with other players is also a fun aspect of online games. I thought that PSO2 players have a high affinity for this type of thing, and seeing the characters and symbol art they create. They pretty much shut down symbol art too. In NGS, we wanted to give players something of a similar scale that they could enjoy. But then you created dual quests. You created dual quests! Oh, they hate us. They hate us. They're gaslighting us, guys. They're gaslighting us. Now, all the players are very social, and they want to do a whole bunch of party things. But, actually, no, we're going to make them not do that. Well, I guess the creative spaces is pretty huge in that, you know, I can have 100 players in there, sure. I guess it does encourage it, sure. I felt it was similar to crafting games or games where you could create your own stages. Right, of course, we use those types of games as a reference. Compared to those games, NGS graphics are rare. And there are a few that offer a truly immersive multiplayer experience. Additionally, the fact that players can enjoy combat and other aspects of the game gives us a competitive advantage. Or is the stuff to do with the combat? What other aspects of the game? Where's my casino? Where is it? Where's my casino? Ah, yes, the combat of Artem all not. Yes. But other crafting games also have combat and other aspects to those games. I don't know what crafting games he's talking about that don't have those things. Because I'm thinking Rust, Minecraft, Animal Crossing, kind of, but it doesn't really have combat, but there's other aspects to that game. Like, what is there that doesn't have the multiplayer and also those things? Tell us about the reason why you decided to implement cel shading. As I observed competing titles from other companies, I felt that the number of games with cartoon-like graphics has been increasing every year. The technology for cartoon rendering itself has improved, allowing for more natural expressions in the world of animation. Cel shading, a technique that makes 3D animation appear as 2D, has also been widely accepted. When considering how to approach character creation next, I wondered if we could incorporate this into NGS. So I discussed this idea with several staff members as an open-ended task. So it wasn't something that was planned? That's right. We didn't know if we could actually implement it, so when the team could finish their work a little early, they played around with it. Wait, early? But what work early? They're working on stuff for like 8 to 10 months. How do they do it early? You were behind! How did you have extra time to play around with this stuff, What? That's contradictory to what was said in this article! Oh my god. Okay. Around the latter half of the last year, it was probably just like there's a task for the day and then, you know, they could play around with it after. Yeah, I understand. Around the latter half of the last year, they said they made progress, so they asked me to take a look. And when I did, when I did, I found they'd made more progress than I expected. So we decided to incorporate it into the development schedule, and ultimately we were able to include it with the release of NGS version 2. Okay. Lies upon lies. It's fine. I understand what they mean here. It's just completed their task for the day a little early. Whatever task they were assigned for that day. Because you know that they're not going to do like all these things, you know, back to back to back. I understand. It's the work atmosphere. With the creative space and the portal holograms plan to be the main content of NGS version 2. Ooh, they actually dumped that question on them. Let's see. Actually, we originally didn't have any plan. Wait. Actually, we originally didn't have any plans for an update in the form of NGS version 2. Interesting. We planned to release the creative space, and then we included cel shading and portable holograms. With the ability to deliver something new and different from the previous NGS, we decided to position this as NGS version 2. So, the way I'm reading that, the reason why they called it version 2 was because of cel shading and portable holograms in addition to creative spaces. That's contradictory to what somebody else said, which was because, oh yeah, the August quest got delayed from June. And delayed because the combat was supposed to be there too. I don't know. Something seems off about this. Maybe it, I think, I don't know. They should have just never called it version 2. They should have just... No. Yeah, just a regular update. Just like something more significant, because, you know, they do something significant every 6 months, like, you know, region update and creative space here. It should have just been, you know, like those little flavorful names that they had for each of the regions that nobody remembers. Like, what was it? Vanguard? Something Vanguard for Stia, or whatever. Those kind of names. Something they just, whatever. Creative, I don't know. The creative update, easy. Alright, next thing. Ultra Alien. Oh my god. I'd like to ask about the new enemies. I believe this also relates to the story, but what can you tell us about them? Those who have played Chapter 5 of the main story will know what's up. There are enemies who are involved with the story that will be delivered with NGS version 2. They will also start to appear in the... Wait, June 21st? I thought it was June 14th. I think this is, I don't think this is right. Isn't it June 14th? Am I crazy? It's the next part of the story, Chapter 6. Yes, up to now, the story updates have been delivered together with the region updates, but that left too big of a gap between updates. Moving forward, instead of completing one chapter in a single update, we plan to release the story in sections, such as Chapter 6 Part 1, Chapter 6 Part 2, etc., at a pace approximately once every 2 months. Additionally, from Chapter 6, we're planning on focusing on the stories of individual characters. Is that just more mini episodes or something different? A little bit more insight on the story stuff. Good question, good question. Okay, so like every 2 months we're gonna get story now. I just really hope that overall we're getting more story in the same time period. I don't know if I don't think it really makes much of a difference. Because if it's only like a 30-minute thing, it's gonna feel even worse, right? Like, am I the only one who thinks that way? Because I know a lot of people have been saying, like, oh yeah, more story, even if it's less, is good. I don't know, I feel like I'm in the boat of I'd rather have it in a chunk. Like, I'd rather have it be 6 months than the same amount. So I have, like, more to do at once. Yeah, I like the chunks. Well, if Chapter 6 Part 1 is actually something decent, like, at least, like, an hour and a half or something, that'd be fine, I guess. Or 2 hours. because the chapters before and like as their whole was like, I think, what, 2 or 3 hours if you watch all the cutscenes. I don't know, this could be positive. This could be positive. I might like it. We'll see. We'll find out after this maintenance, right? Indeed, the characters do feel less developed. There it is. They feel less developed compared to base game. The amount of text itself is different from that of PSO2, and I regret that in the mini episodes as well. There's been a lot to really dig deep into these characters. Well, at least he agrees. At least he agrees. But he didn't say that it was going to change much, except for this, I guess. I don't know what this means. What does this mean? Like, it's gonna be something like base game when there's those extra or like cutscenes on the side. Like, I don't know. What is this? What is this? I agree that he agrees. Yes, he said that. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. Yeah, the characters are not developed. Yes, indeed. Yep. That's about it. My God, this is not a good look. This is not a good look. Alright, what developments await in the future? Will there be balance adjustments and new photon arts? Yes, yes, there is. Blah, blah, blah. We already know that. There won't be any new PAs. Okay, so there's that. Yeah, no new PAs with NGS version 2 update. Yeah. So probably won't get PAs for a long time still. Probably not until 3 years from now. Or 2 years from now, whatever. Are there any plans for new classes? To be honest, there are no definite plans yet. We have finally delivered all the classes that were in PSO2, so we're... Wait, what? We have finally delivered all the classes that were in PSO2. No? So we're still thinking about what to do moving forward. We would like to add a new class, but we're still considering new weapon categories to create, so this will take a bit of time. Okay, so they want to do a new class, but they gotta decide on what weapons that they wanted to have. Maybe he means weapons. Yeah, maybe weapons, yeah. Because like the side classes are missing. Will you get it done within the year? No, that would be impossible. It really is still under consideration. Yep, there it is. That's too bad. Next question. We can only fight Zephetto Returns in the story, but it will be possible to fight him in the future. Oh, there's confirmation on that for you guys who enjoyed that fight. You'll be able to fight him in multiplayer in the not-too-distant future, so probably August. So he's probably going to be reused in August. There you go. Let's go! I mean, that's pretty cool, though, I guess. I mean, I like that fight. It's kind of, no shame to not see it elsewhere. It's a UQ. I don't know if it's going to be UQ, because, like, the August content is not UQ stuff. It might be a UQ, but I don't think it's going to... I don't know. Are there any plans to add a new region? We currently don't have any plans to regularly add things such as large regions in the future. However, we may add new maps to accompany new content. You know what that means, right? Yeah. You know what that means, right, guys? We're on Halpha for 2 years. We're on Halpha for at least 2 years. We're on it for at least 2 years. Dude. Because in this article, yeah, they said they can't do content for, like, that's major for a year. Yeah, it may take 1.5 to 2 years or more for them to be implemented, or more. So they're not even planning on it, so yeah, it's probably gonna be at least 2 years. I feel like doing these interviews actually hurt the game more. I feel like am I wrong on that? Like, I feel like worse. I feel worse. Guys, I don't like this. I don't like it at all. Like, it's nice to get the insight, but this is bad insight. I don't like it. I don't like it. Oh. Should just left the article unread and clicked out. Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like it. Oh no. Okay, what else do they got to say? What other updates do you have planned with the timing of the NGS version 2 release? We will be unlocking level caps and adding 9-star weapons. Also will be releasing an attack hedgehog, blah blah. Yeah. What can you tell us about the roadmap for the future? Roadmap! Alright, July marks the 11th anniversary, and we'll be releasing limited time quests for that, okay? It'll be a little different from the quests up to now. With an emphasis on the playful elements, ooh! We also have NGS cosmetic items for Hitsuji and Enga. As well as a reissue of the Matoi and Persona Scratch from last year, okay. To those who missed that. So that, I guess, is okay, Scratch, you know, whatever. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I believe there will be new content update in August. What can you tell us about that? This is content that will use the Lucille map. Okay, there's confirmation right there. It will be in Lucille. It will be multiplayer content with a strong emphasis on random elements so that players can enjoy trying it again and again. This is content geared towards our core players, but not quite on the same level as Dual Quest. It'll be something everyone can enjoy with some strategic elements involved. So yeah, it's on Lucille. There it is. But is it gonna be good? Is it gonna be good? I don't know. I want it to be good. After hearing the rest of that article and the other article combined, like, everything else sounds bad. Everything else in the future sounds terrible. But this might I don't know. Can I put that much faith into it? This is the tipping point. Yeah, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. No, it's not. But like I said, they're putting a lot of faith into this. A lot of faith. Like this is the make or break point for the core players, as they call it. The core players, so those that enjoy the gameplay, the combat. If that is bad, yeah. After hearing everything else, how there isn't going to be any new maps for like 2 years because they don't have any plans for it, and all of the stuff being the same, they have no plans for casino, they have no plans for regions, they have plans for nothing. This is all that they got. If this isn't good, I think I'm personally done. Personally. There's no future. There's nothing. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. Like what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do in December? Because every 6 months so far has been like a region, right? What are they going to do in December? Because they can't do like another creative space. They don't have the time for that. What are they gonna do in that time? Is this gonna be nothing? Or is it gonna be Retem? Reuse Retem time! Woo, level 80! Woo! Yeah, December back to Retem, guys! We're just gonna do the whole thing again! Ultra Retem! I just can't. I can't do that. I can't. And then 6 months after that is Caveris. 6 months after that is Stia. I really just can't. I cannot do that. I physically cannot do that. I refuse. I refuse. Will the reward be 9-star weapons? It will be. Opportunities to get 9 stars weapons will be limited, so it'll be the highlight of the rewards. We're also preparing a high difficulty multiplayer quest for August, however this is a challenging quest even for us. It's going to be very difficult. Oh. We'll feature a new type of enemy whose attacks cannot be countered or dodged. In order to fight them, you'll have to memorize their movements. So this will make for a different type of combat than before. Well, that sounds interesting. So 9 stars are the key thing with the rewards. Okay. I don't know how great that's going to be. If there isn't anything, like if there isn't other good things in it. Because like once you get the 9-star, like all you're fighting for is a fixa kinda, but I don't feel like a lot of people care about that. Like just an extra thing on top. There has to be other things to it than that. That's just pretty much confirmation that there's no 10 stars, like a hidden 10-star thing like they did with like Caveris with that rarity stuff. Is it so strong that even the dev team would be surprised if we beat it? It's not that strong. Imagine that only a small percentage of players will be able to beat it until the strategy becomes more widely known. However, I don't think anyone will be able to beat it on their first try. Alright, that's the challenge, guys. We're gonna beat it first try. Easy. Easy. Now, they're probably just gonna turn up the HP and attack on these enemies to make it super difficult and be bullshit. We'll see. Is there anything else you can tell us? So we'll be releasing a... Oh, okay. There's something. Alliance Space is in August. Yeah, I was wondering about that for the longest time. It seemed like they just dropped it, but I guess that's still a thing. So Alliance Space is in August. It works the same as Creator Space, but just for your Alliance. So they're actually still doing that. Okay. I mean, that's a good thing to hear about, but... yeah. There's actually more with this. Okay, what else? Difficulty is unique to the global version. Okay, for us, guys, this is for us. Let's see. What are some of the challenges in simultaneously developing the global version? One is that we need to localize it, so we have to prepare things faster than we release the Japanese version first. Another reason is cultural differences. So there are expressions and graphics that would not be problematic in Japan, but maybe problematic elsewhere. It will be challenging during the development stage as things are checked, corrected, and things were made may have been deleted, or may have to be deleted. Yeah. Yep. Makes sense. Okay. Are there any differences in preference when it comes to the Japanese and global versions? Basically, there aren't any really any major differences in feedback regarding the content. However, the global players tend to not like the shorter quests. They may feel like it's a grind to play them over and over again in a short amount of time. So that just pretty much confirms that all of what we're saying is what JP is saying. Except for the things on shorter quests, apparently. We don't like them short quests. We gotta give them long. I personally don't like the longer quests like Geolab Rank 1. I don't mind the short quests. It's just the short quests are boring. Because I'm doing them over and over again. They're not any different every time I run it. That's the reason why I don't like them. But yeah, like Geolab Rank 1, I don't really like because it's so long and gives you like nothing. Let's see. Finally, is there anything you'd like to say to the players? I'd like to truly apologize for not being able to meet players' expectations in the early days of NGS. There are some opinions that the dev team should come out publicly and apologize. We had our own ideas, so the timing ended up being now. Thanks to our players that were here, able to celebrate the second anniversary of NGS. Over the past 2 years, we have been listening to player feedback. We have finally established a system to deliver NGS version 2 as something new, not just an extension of PSO2. I'd be very happy if not only our current players who are enjoying the game, but also those who drifted away during the early stages of NGS, as well as those who had no interest in PSO2 or NGS up to now, could take this opportunity to experience the game. We're very grateful if you could spread the word and enjoy NGS version 2 together. Damn. Damn. I mean, he has some heart to him. He has some heart. But after what I just read, I don't think I can do that. I don't think I can do that. Like, after reading that entire interview, it's hard to say, oh yeah, come to the game, there's big changes coming. Like, I literally, like, we just read that you have no plans for regions at all. Nothing. The only plans that are there are in August. There's nothing for new classes. You're kind of thinking about it, kind of. There's... I have nothing. There's nothing. I have nothing to... There's nothing here that is like... I can like spread the word to people. Like, I guess there's gonna be more story, which may or may not be good. They're in smaller chunks. They're gonna continue to do limited time quests, which who knows how those are gonna be. More seasonal events. August is like the only one that has promise. But for the next 2 years, you're gonna be cycling around Halpha again. How do they think this is okay? Yeah, no PAs either. Yeah, no PAs. That's not in the works at all. I don't know how they've gone through this, and it's been... Like, how do they do this? It's really bad. It is. Yeah, reading this article has completely shot my hopium. I don't know. What do you guys think? Hopefully the meltdown this day ran a lot. I don't know if I really had a meltdown. I am just very disappointed. I am very disappointed in Sega as a whole letting this happen. I don't even know if it's mixed. I'm just straight up just disappointed. I think that's all there is to it. Like the only thing that is a glimmer of anything is August. Well, I just can't be excited for it because people keep telling me to not have expectations. Don't have any expectations, Crit. You're gonna be disappointed again. Like all the people that try to be positive about the game is just, oh, just don't play it. Wait until content comes out. Okay, where's the content in the future? Like, do I have to wait 4 years? Do I have to wait 4 years? Yeah, it's just, yeah, it gives me all the time to play other games, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, that was the whole article. I think it was a mistake doing this interview. I think it was a mistake. It probably would have been better to keep us dragging along. I don't know. Maybe this is our saving. We're saved by this. Yeah, I think it was a mistake releasing this. Yeah. I just don't know what to say. Like, what do I say? Like, I don't want to just completely shit on it because like that's just not what I do. I just don't want to shit on it. I don't know what to say at all. I just don't. I don't know.